He needs one more rock on his head, a big one. Ben Lane pressed against the boulder, hiding him from the women as he replayed their words in his mind. Something rang familiar in the hushed tone of one of them, like the aroma of a favorite dessert he hadn't eaten in years. As it happened, he hadn't eaten any of his favorite foods in years. 2 full years, in fact, since he and his sister had left Illinois to go west and become missionaries to the Indian tribes. That's about how long it had been since he'd heard that same half-whisper, half-frantic tone. It couldn't be. The sounds of stones clanking drew his focus back to what might be happening on the other side of his hiding spot. Surely they weren't striking a man on the head with a rock. He shifted to peer around the boulder. 2 figures were working over a cluster of rocks. Both wore long skirts, not the knee-length buckskin that clad the women in the Grovant village. White women. Ben's mind struggled to catch up with what his eyes took in. It wasn't as if he hadn't seen white women recently. His sister was with him, after all, and there was Lola, who, along with her Shoshone husband, had been working as a translator for them this past year. But both Elise and Lola had taken to wearing buckskins through the winter. Leather was much warmer through these long frigid months, far more practical as well, and the two didn't stand out as much from the people they lived and worked among, which made these 2 strangers he'd stumbled upon stand out all the more. They looked like they'd stepped from a shop on Main Street in Marcyville. What were they doing in this wilderness? At least 2 months' journey from any form of civilization. One of the women turned away from the pile of rocks, staying partly bent as she scanned the ground. A jolt of recognition swept through him. He'd been right. But how could... His mind stuttered to a slow crawl, even as an ache pressed in his chest, pain he'd worked hard to push aside for 2 years. One glimpse of her brought it all back like an avalanche. Her gaze raked the grass around her, then lifted to the hedge of stones and brush that blocked her position from view on 3 sides. Before he could duck away, her eyes caught on his. He froze, a rabbit confronted by a fox. Yet she was no fox. As much as the sight of her made his throat clog and a spurt of panic sweep through him. How in the world had Heidi found him out here in this mountain wilderness?